Hi, this is Uncle Al from Amazing Collectibles, and if you want to do it right, you do what? If you, oh,
No, no, I got
wait,
this.
wait.
If you want to do it right, collect what you like.
Okay, well, I got the first part.
Gotta love that song, man. Just makes you want to roll to a Regal. Listen fast on a Sunday. You guys, welcome. Welcome back to the Team Nerd Herd podcast, where our best advice is if you want to do it right, collect what you like. You're here for episode 3 of Dropping the Mic with your boy Steve, aka Hip Hop Sydney _comics _collectibles, and my brother from another mother, Alonzo. What's going on, Alonzo?
Nothing, man. Just got back from the beach, just having a good time, and decided, you know what? I'm gonna come back on this show because I love my boy Steve. So there you go.
Right back at you, man. I wouldn't have it any other way, man. So, with that being said, you are with us for a drop in the mic segment on an early advanced reading to Witchblood 3 with Vault Comics. All right, guys. So, this is with creative team Matthew Erman, artist Lisa Sterile, colored by Gab Contreras, and then the lettering is through World. Okay, and it's through Vault Comics. So it's an indie title. We know indies are really hot right now. And, I'll be honest, this did not meet my poll. This was not my cup of tea in reading the synopsis. But getting an advanced reading and going backwards and reading these issues, I'm giving it another shot. I'm going through the reading and, that's just what we do, right?
Damn right. Damn right. But how can you not how come the synopsis didn't get to you, Steve? I mean, we're talking witches and vampires.
So
that didn't do it to you?
I like the mixing and of everything. Like when you say like it's a modern West road trip, with witches and vampires, that got me. I was like, okay, cool. This is something I'm gonna give a try. What's going on, Hermano Eric? What's going on, Azores Tigers? What's going on, Bricks the Iron Geek? I'm seeing people coming in. Brother JD, what's going on? So thank you guys for catching up. We're going to go ahead and give you a brief rundown of what this story is for Witchblood. So Alonzo, let me go ahead and kind of get back into it. So let me give the herd the brief synopsis. Okay, it's a modern day Wild West road trip. All right, there's motorcycles involved, so that's all great. What's going on? Perpetual Comics is in the building. You got witches, covenants. You got vampires that are also rolling in them Harleys and just doing their thing. And there's something that they're after. They're after Witchblood. They're after this thing called Esme. And who knows what that really is? Could it be a person? Could it be a place? And we kind of find that out as we get through issues 1, 2, and 3. There's real good buildup. So I won't say it didn't meet my poll. I'm just being honest with you. In the beginning, it wasn't an issue that grabbed me. But as Alonzo said, hey, Steve, I got an advanced reading. Let's go ahead and give this read. It's a title that you might like. It's about witches. It's about vampires. Who knows? And you know what I said? For our community, and I know people are on the Vault train. I know we have readers that love Witchblood. I want to be able to give it a shot and give you guys my honest opinion. No holds bar. This is what we do. We want to be honest. We want to kind of let you guys know. So, Alonzo, let's go ahead and give a little rundown as far as like the casting characters that we go with, that we kind of step into with issue 1. All right.
Oh, let's do it.
All right. So we got the protagonist. Her witch. She's a witch. Her name is Yana. She has a crow by the name of, to my knowledge. Okay, it's
that's right.
Yeah, just like a crow, crowing it, crowing. She has a dope ass bike, and she has that thing named. I mean, if you had a car, what's your car's name? Her bike's name is Ramblin' Rose. You
Oh,
know,
my car's name Akane.
my car's name is Fawn because she's fine, when she's rolling. But so it opens up, like the dialogue, the story. She is a somewhat of a vagabond. She's a savvy traveler. She goes from place to place. So there's no place that's really considered home to her. She has this crow that's with her. That it's a pet, I would say, or a confidant. We don't know. She has dialogue with the crow. What I should say, right? And like she's trying to kind of go through road trip. Glenn 2K. And then Dave, yeah, BLC. What's going on, man? We got people rolling. Thank you guys. We really appreciate it. So she's what she's doing is she's going to go and visit the head of her coven. She hasn't spoken with her. I mean, this has been some time. She's kind of fallen on kind of like hard times. And even worse. She's going into town. The thing I will kind of add, guys, that I did like is they kind of give you like soundtracks, music to kind of listen to. Geek driven. What's going on, my brother Jeff? That's one thing I really did like because it kind of sets the mood. It's just like a movie, right? You're looking at these panels and you're kind of getting sucked in the story. But there's right in the first page of that, it's a mannequin pussy, and its presence, right? And you could hear the song. You play the song as you're reading it, and she's on a road trip, right? She's going, "What's going on, Mama?" Comic Lucy, my girl Lucy, up in the building, and so she's taking this road trip to go out, kind of visit, like the head of the coven. It's been a minute. She has not seen her. She kind of falls into hard times. There's somebody that runs her off the road. There's an accident that kind of happens, so she's kind of stalled. And Yana's, she's sassy. Her character is very smart alecky, very 2-bit. Like jokes and puns are always involved. She has a great sense of humor. She's quirky.
Oh, for sure.
Right. So she's going through this, and she gets ran off the road. And like you kind of pan out to what you see is what we know in later issues is a hex hunter. So I guess there's also a group that hunts vampires and witches. And within kind of seeing that, there's world building right there. There's lore, and I think if you're into like tarot card reading or like witchcraft or like vampires, it's not much like as is drafted as horror, but like it's involved. So there's really good character building. You kind of find that you already get characters right in the beginning. There is a little pan out. There's a lot of explanation. Yana gets run off the road. She's going in. To meet who she figures out is, hey, this car ran me off the road. I know what the car is. And she kind of meets her. There is a hex hunter by the name of what her name is, Alta Koya, but they call her Alta for short. She's very mysterious, and she's also a woman. She is a BMF, right, Alonzo?
Oh my God, yes. Oh yeah, she's awesome. I love her.
Yeah, and there's dialogue in between them. Like the funny thing about Joanna, she's sassy. She goes, "Hey, so you owe me for running me off the road. What the heck's going on here? What was the problem?" And there's dialogue, and there's a fight that it kind of exudes. There's a person that's there earlier it kind of plays a piece of the puzzle later, as we find. What happens is there are these. This character of a group called the Hounds of Love. Okay, and they're ran by the leader Paxton. And in later issues, you find who his people are, that he's with. But these vampires are looking for Witchblood. They're looking for this place or person called Esme. And that's what they're looking for the Witchblood. One thing to kind of touch base on is, Yora is immortal. And witches are, right? Alchemy and all types of spells, So I'm sure they're in search for something like that. They're sure like to open up a gate of some sort. But what happens is, like Yana already kind of gets murked in the beginning of the issue. I mean, she's fighting these vampires. They can sense her, and these vampires are telling her, "Well, guess what, guys? Yora, you're here, but you're going to point us in the right direction to this person. You're going to go ahead and help us out, or we're going to kill you. She fights, and this is the end of this first issue. She gets shot. She's injured, but she uses her alchemy and magic to get away. So she's very smart. That's some of the things I really like in issue one. Again, at the beginning, it was not my cup of tea. It's still something that I probably wouldn't read. I'm a little more along the horror side of things. But Alonzo, can you add to what you read?
Yeah, so I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed the first issue a lot. I thought it was great because for me, it's like I've not read a comic or even seen like movies that had like vampires versus witches. So I was immediately intrigued by something like this. And it's like a western or a road trip. So Yana's just driving her motorcycle like from town to town to town and having all of these little mini adventures. And the thing is, each issue feels like it's one story. So you don't have, there's of course like a long game and there's little mentions of these little tidbits here and there, but each issue is its own little issue, which is fantastic. So you can pick up issue 1, 2, or 3 and be like, hey, these are kind of self-contained, even though there's an ongoing theme or an ongoing presence for the book.
Definitely. So as we move forward, let's kind of get into issue 2. Again, issue 2 gives I've never read a horror comic. You should, Glenn.
Glenn, yeah, you should really check them out. They're really great reads, and some of the art in some of these horror comics are amazing.
They really catch the tone.
Yeah, give it a chance. Just pick up one issue, see if it's your cup of tea. But like Steve mentioned earlier in the show, like just give things a chance. I mean, you kind of never know what you might like it. Definitely.
And like to Alonzo's point, I did enjoy the read. Like I will never turn anything down but my collar. I am in full support of our community and the creators that art and the artists that come through it. So you'll never hear something like bad come out of my mouth because I respect their craft. And everybody starts in a position where we all start in the beginning, and then everything kind of works its way as it goes along. So I truly believe in that. So issue 2 closes out with Yora getting shot. She makes it out, and what first comes to mind, her bike is already fixed because she kind of cohorts a gentleman caller over in the town. So she's already gone, and she's trying to go to a friend by the name of Liana. She is also another witch that's in this trailer park, that she's kind of blending in. And she comes in injured. Yelena takes care of her, fixes her up. And in the midst of this, you're seeing the Hounds of Love progress into their mission. They're trying to find this place called Esme, or this person called Esme. Esmeralda probably is what that would be. So I'm guessing it's a person that can open up the gates, or what we call Witchblood, which would be probably immortality or something. We're learning as we go along. So you see that pan out, that panel to where the Hounds of Love are at. You see where, Yora is, she's getting, fixed up, and, she wakes up, and her friend greets her and says, hey, like, what happened? What's going on? She kind of gave her a rundown of what had happened, what the Hounds of Love are looking for. She is aware of them as well, and she's kind of just telling her, we need to search for the head of our coven, so you need to go to the head of the coven, or you also need to go to one of the knights, of the coven, who is also, a witch as well. This coven they got some, bad witches, man. That's all I could say. Right, Alonzo? I mean, bad witches.
That's right. It's great. I liked issue 2 too. I mean, I thought it was a lot of fun. But you know what though? I want to know more about issue 3. That's what I want to know about. So Steve, what did you think of that issue?
Okay, so issue 3 was more exciting to me as we got further down the line. Issue 1 was great. We got a cast of characters. Issue 2 built more on the story. You kind of find out that you find that Hex Hunter, who she is as well. She's also a huntress, and amazing, man. So she's kind of in the fray. She's talking to her, group of people as well. So there's three kind of groups that are involved in trying to kind of close out what these how Hounds of Love are doing, what Paxton is up to. So they're not fighting together, but they're fighting the same fight. So it opens up to some kids walking a block down a suburban block, and they're talking amongst each other, and they're kind of talking about this shed, and some like urban myth or something. They hear like a voice. It's coming from the shed, and they're like, "Do you hear that?" And all of a sudden, you see their faces. Their eyeballs just kind of suck out. And well, I guess this witch. I mean, she is like probably the head of that coven, and she has a bunch of eyeballs that, like, I guess for sight. We don't know what that is just yet. I'm sure we'll find out what kind of a power she draws or whatnot. I would imagine it's sight from, to have many eyes, be able to see in many different places, which would be a good spin. I mean, I would like to kind of see that. I don't know, but I'm always up to see what the author's interpretation would be. All right. So once we see that, it kind of pans out to, Yara kind of reminiscing, because as we closed out on issue 2, she one of her friends passed away, right? She was led to one of the nights. That night got in a fight with the Hellhounds. What's going on? Hood rat, all up in the building. Team Nerd Herd represented. And so, she's kind of dealing with her friend dying. And this is a strong knight, a strong witch that was there. They got defeated immediately, and she's trying to meet up with the head of her coven, and in this case, I think her name is Esme. I think it is Esme, but they also have a different name for her, and she uses her crow companion.
That's right. Can you do that again? I think Glenn really enjoyed that sound.
Yeah. I mean, that's just my interpretation. That's what I hear in my head. I mean, you guys got to set the premise for yourself. I can't do it for you. Right. You can call your boy on Instagram on a message and say, "Hey, just record that for me," so that when I'm reading it, I can hear that. And then you too can have this voice that's in my head.
There you go.
So one of the things in the second issue that I want to go backwards to is that, again, they add a song for you to play along in your reading, right? Chattanooga. I mean, if you guys watch my Instagram story, you're probably wondering, why is Steve using that music? It's in the story, my friends, and you can interpret it. It sets you in the mood. So let's kind of go back and dive in, cannonball back into issue 3. So you got Yora using her powers. She concocts this, she's like kind of off, right? She figures out like what works for her, right, Alonzo? She doesn't have a certain, foundation. There's just a little of this, a little of that, and boom.
Exactly. Like I feel like she's like the MacGyver of witches. I mean, she just uses essentially kind of what's available to create a spell or to do something. I think it's very creative how they do it. And Steve, to your point about the music and the soundtrack, it adds a lot to the book. It really enriches it. Again, to your point, I mean, it's just like it's like you're watching a movie and you're kind of listening to that music in the background while you go panel to panel.
Definitely. And so we see Yora track, Isme down, and she's in the shed. They greet each other. This is what I love. The dialogue between her and Esme, they're sisters, right? In a coven, you are sisters for life, right? Just like Alonzo's my brother for life, So what happens is you see this dialogue and you kind of think like, oh my God, what's going to go on? Are they going to fight? They're squaring off, and they kind of greet each other. I haven't seen each other. They're drinking a spot of tea, and there's dialogue there, but they are kind of talking to each other about the Hounds of Love. And, in comes Alta. Alta comes in as well. She comes into the fray, and there's dialogue there. And they're trying to figure out what's going on. They're trying to kind of put the pieces together. And the thing about this book that I did like is that this is where you get a lot more meat, a lot of more character building, a lot of more action. As Ismi's talking, there's an arrow that strikes her right through her heart, and you don't know where it's coming from, but then you kind of see a panel that pans out from far away, and it's the Hounds of Love. They're there. They're hot on the trail, and unfortunately, I won't go into too much. I don't want to spoil it for you guys in this sense. I want you guys to pick it up on Wednesday if you're a fan of Vault. If you are not, I guess we could see in the group chat. All right, does everybody want to hear what happens at the end, or would you guys want to try it out for yourself? You can go digital, you can go physical. Let's go ahead and see what the chat says, and then we can go ahead and either.
Yeah, well, they're kind of talking about it. Ooh, look at that! Perpetual's like the Hounds of Love. Yes, the Hounds of Love. I love it.
Yeah, man, they are grimy.
You know what?
I like the group,
right? But just kind of to kind of add to what Steve's saying too, like issue 3 really sets the tone for more like gore. I mean, you have like eyeballs popping out, as Steve mentioned earlier. You have this like kind of disembodied figure. I mean, it's really grotesque, and you finally get some of that. I mean, there's still some horror aspect, but there's a lot of like comedy bits between them. I mean, it's kind of like what's the word that I'm looking for? It's a comedy horror type.
It's very light.
It's like, oh my god, it's like Bruce Campbell's Ash. So if you watch that series, I mean, it's very, very similar. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, even though it's horror, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, to Alonzo's point, you do get gore there. You get shots of. Yeah, you know what I like about this too is, here I'm saying it wasn't on my poll, but I'm telling you guys what I like about it, and that's what I want to do. I want to give you guys something that you can kind of walk away with, right? Because I will never say I hate a title, right? I love the colors that are being used. I love the interpretation and the drawings. There's a fight scene where you see a panel where one of the hex hunters is jumping back, and you see the vampires, all 4 of them, kind of go into what would be like a ninja dash, like in speed, and you can interpret it like, and they're fighting, like it's great. Like that is what I like. I like the colors. I like the fact that they leave it light with smart alecky puns. I had to slap myself in the head for that. Sorry, guys. Sometimes I think faster than I talk. My bad. But it's raw, right? It's here. It's real. But that is one of the things I did like. I like the colors. I like the storyline and how it was broken down. And third issue, it got me wanting more. Right. So I didn't have this on my poll, but I'm going to finish the story. Nobody likes a quitter, guys. So your boy got to finish,
Like, you got somebody in the chat that I think Glenn wants you to make that crow noise.
Yeah. That's what I hear. If you guys want to read it and right, Alonzo?
No, you're right. It's like,
yeah,
that's how the crow. And it's great that they, the Yana and her, they have that like camaraderie. And like, don't witches have like a familiar? I think that's her familiar. Like people like have a cat or anything like that, but she has this raven or crow.
True. Yes. And I like the crow, man. The crow saves her, in numerous times, man. Like gets her away on the first issue. She's her companion. I mean, who really knows who the crow is? Is there an aura in it? The anime, etc. My anime brother. What's going on? But I think issue 3 is great, just because you get a little more action. There's a quarrel between all 3. One thing I will say is they introduce another character that was introduced in issue 2 that they don't give a name to, and her name is Texas Red. So she's another hex hunter with Alta. So again, what I do like is that they have these groups, these factions that are after each other. And although there's one alternative for the Hounds of Love, and where they're going, you still got, the Hex Hunters, like your Vampire Hunter D-esque, badass girls, just throwing it down. And then you got, Yara in the mix, like she's a smart alecky, funny, adventurous type of vagabond, man. I dig her,
So Steve, like, would you recommend this issue to like somebody that's not into horror, or How what would you say to them?
I would say it isn't, there's horror properties involved, like but they don't use it in the most cliche way, like, like, oh, witches, like they're gonna, there's something going on a more horrific kind of story. They just kind of, those are the witches that are involved. You have your vampires, and then you have your hex hunters. So it's more lore than anything, and there's a story. And then it's a wild. To me, it's like a Wild West, right? It's a motorbike Wild West. There's a lot of music that's involved. I mean, in your head that you're kind of playing. I'm hoping in the next fourth issue they give you that, because you're seeing a lot of indie titles like Aftershock, with records coming in and they're telling you to play this. Same with Vault. They're giving you a soundtracks to kind of play in your comics. And I think that is great. I think it's really smart. I think it's a breath of fresh air, and I think it's very innovative. It moves the hobby into the next step, right? Like a movie. I mean, back then they used to have silent movies, and then you added in sound. This is even better, right? You're looking at a comic that's giving you a soundtrack to listen to. So I kind of, in going back to what Alonzo was asking, I would say this is probably a lore title that you're going to look into. It's a there involves adventure. It's kind of a mishmash of everything, I would say, and not in a bad way. I think it's actually like untampered waters, as Alonzo said. And again, I would, this wasn't on my pull, and I'm an indie guy, dude. I put every number one on my pull, but when I read this synopsis, I was like, you know what? I have other titles I want to kind of revisit. Maybe I'll pick up the trade. But Alonzo was, here, said, hey, Steve, I got something that you might like. And I read it, and I dug it. I dug it.
No, that's great to hear. I'm happy that you gave the book a chance, and that you actually sat down, read it, and said, you know what, this isn't bad. I mean, it's great. I mean, that's what this whole thing is about, right? It's just kind of taking chances on something that you otherwise would have been like, yeah, I'm just going to kind of pass this book along this whole wall of comics. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm very grateful. So thank you for giving it a shot.
Oh yeah, man. Thank you for always offering, man. I mean, I think with this drop in the mic segment, I know we opened up like on the first episode, and we said, hey, these are going to be like my kind of picks. But I think, like I said, I never turn anything down with my caller. I think it's great to always approach different artists, always have a respect for what they're putting out, and definitely give them a shot. Like you guys saw in the first issue, Brian Hawkins was, came to me and said, hey, I'd like you to read issue 2. Who knows what might come down the line? We might get other, guests that we've had on the show to give us advanced readings. And, I'm definitely willing to bring it to the community. We have different, type of people that like, heroic type of, titles like what you see in Marvel and DC, and in the indie titles that are a lot more diverse and there's more story. So we will always kind of be open to that. And, group chat, if you guys are there and chilling with us still, like I see you guys rocking and rolling with us now, drop us a comment and tell us, give us a title that you would want us to read. And Alonzo and I are always, down for that.
Yeah, and for sure. And Perpetual, dude, seriously, he just gave us an idea, or a show that we should do, Deaths of Layla Starr.
Oh, that's going to be on the list. Perpetual, that will be on the list. It's actually on it'll be on next Saturdays, next Sundays. Oh my God, I'm losing track of my days, guys. Next Sunday, at 3, I think we'll go on the many deaths of Layla Starr, because it is an interesting read. I have read the first issue, didn't get a chance to read the second, but I'm more than willing to bring it to you guys. I am super happy to have this show and to roll with my boy Alonzo. And you guys never know. You might see my boy JR rolling with me too, because my boy Alonzo got things to do. He's helping the show as much as he can, and as much as he can, right? And we might have special guests. We might swap out guests. Hey, we might have guests from the community to roll with me, and we might take a title and read it ourselves. What do you guys think? We're very, very open to different ideas. We want to make sure that we're bringing titles. Boom is one of my all-time favorites, Perpetual. So I will say that I'm a fan of Boom. I have a lot of their titles, a lot of Vault titles. I'm an indie guy, right? Right, Alonzo? I know you are too.
Yep. Oh, and the anime says, "Hey, Bunny Mask." That's another one.
Pre-ordered anthology horror. This is what we are going to bring to dropping the mic. And with that being said, guys, do we have any other thoughts, Alonso, that you want to close out with?
No, I'm just like, hey, you got witches, you got vampires, you got hex hunters, you got a whole lot of stuff crammed into 3 issues, and I would definitely give it a chance. It's a great book, and again, it's got this soundtrack, so make sure you play that music when you read these books, man. You're gonna love it.
I loved it. I was a major fan of it. So definitely pull it up, guys. Do yourself the favor, like enhance your comic book reading. If you're not a person that likes to listen to music, I would say try it out. Like just look at the comic, play the music in the background silently so it doesn't overpower it. And you'll find that it enhances, to Alonzo's point, your reading. It brings so much to the story. So with that being said, y'all, you guys already know at 7 p.m. PST, 10 p.m. EST, we'll be rolling with the top picks of the week for New Comic Book Day. So stay with us and be rolling with us. Hit those notification bells. Leave a comment down below. Give us a like. Tell us what you liked about the show. Tell us what you didn't like about the show. Tell us what you're reading. I want to know what you guys are reading. I want to know a title that you guys would recommend. But most definitely, guys, thank you guys for the support to the Team Nerd Herd podcast. Much love to the community. Always sub each other. Community, let's grow together. And with that being said, we're going to close it out with, if you want to do it right, read what you like.